America, my name is Osei-Frimpong, and you're watching The Black Athenians, and I'm coming to you pretty darn close to on time today. Now, today we're going to talk about Jay-Z's deal with the NFL. We're also going to talk about a few black teens who got in some trouble because they made a white lady nervous, because people get killed for that in these United States. Yeah. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about how that all ties into freedom, because a lot of what freedom means being able to depend on people around you to fulfill their promises, because that's how freedom's about, being able to make plans for your life and then actually exercise those plans. You get to actually make plans and then do what you planned. And in order to make plans and do what you planned, you need the things in your world to be rather stable, because that's the data out of which you make your plans, right? So you get to make plans and the world stays stable, and then you get to actually exercise those plans.
That explains why my plans don't work a lot.
And that means not only do you have to be stable, the things around you have to be stable. And if the things around you are black people, so that's why it's hard for even black people to be free around black people, because they have to make plans. This is why Jay-Z might feel a little bit more comfortable working with Roger Goodell, because Goodell checks cash. It's not personal.
Someone the other day was like, the check's in the mail, right? I'm like, yes. Can you hold it for 160 days after you get it?
Yeah. And so you're not free unless everyone around you is free. And if you're black and the people around you are black, that means you need, a solution to make everyone around you free. And not be kind of predated upon by these institutions, whether the institutions are predatory employers or lenders or jobs, or because all of that stuff is going to make those people break their promises to you, and their promises are what you've designed your plans around, right? So it's not their fault they're unstable, or are going to throw you under a bus, but that's how other people's stability reflects our freedom and kind of inflects our freedom. If they're not free, we can't make plans that involve them, because they're not free to actually make good on their promises to us. They are going to be captured by whoever has real power over them, right? So, or the instability of black life. You can't one of the reasons why you can't be free unless everyone has rights, because those rights secure the promises they make to you, right? So you don't want your friend to sell you out to their employer because they need that job, right? You don't want your friend to sell you out to their whatever, because if you're black and making moves, there's always going to be a reason to sell you out. So there's a little bit of, so understand that about freedom. It's about the ability to make plans and actually enact them. And those plans are going to include the world and what you want to be in the world. And the world includes other people, right? So if those other people aren't free, then other people aren't free to make good on their promises they made to you and the commitments they made to you, then you can't be free to depend on their commitments in order to kind of as a scaffolding of your life. And with that, Matthew, you ready for the intro? Let's hit the beat. I got Matthew back. Yes.
To the beat, y'all. Yeah. Sound good to me. Never change the ways for the world or the government. If I was the president, then I would state facts. You leave it up to me, I paint the White House black and ain't no future in your front.
America, I am back. And this is the Black Athenians. If you like anything I'm doing, please go to thefunkyacademic.com, because the quality of political commentary I give makes me darn near unemployable. Moderately popular, but unemployable. I could be more popular also if you send this video out to all of your friends. All of your friends. And your book clubs. Maybe you watch this video at your Sunday school and then talk about what Jesus would say about what I said. That would be fine. Or your book club if, maybe everyone didn't read the book. So maybe you watch this video and then talk about what I'm saying, because I'm actually trying to clarify. I'm doing it for the culture, and culture is actually what we have to teach us how to use our freedom in a way that's meaningful. And this goes for poor people. This goes for middle-class people. This goes for wealthy people. I drove through Swanee, which is just a kind of a white flight suburb of Atlanta. And I drove through it and got off because I had to buy some socks. And I realized that if I lived here, I would be instantly depressed just because of the structure of the suburbs. It was horrifying. And I suspect that people have like aspire to live there and then don't understand why they're both depressed and anxiety, and they have a medicine cabinet full of all sorts of pills. And this is the people who actually achieve their dreams. So I'm here to help you fix your dreams and kind of clarify the structure of meaningful life, right? Mostly I also want to make sure black people get paid what they're due and they get justice and actually empower people to know how to fight for themselves. All right, so today we're going to talk a little bit about, I'm going to start off by talking about Jay-Z. Jay-Z, give me the picture of Jay-Z and Goodall. Jay-Z and Roger Goodall, the head of the NFL, they're buddies. They're buddies. Jay-Z and Roger Goodall are buddies. Jay-Z looks very comfortable with Roger Goodall. Jay-Z is there's another picture of him with Warren Buffett. I don't have it up here, but you can find it. Jay-Z is very comfortable with old white money. He's very comfortable. I think at this point he might be a little bit more comfortable with old white money than he would be in this studio right here with this show. And I don't know what that means about that. And I know everybody, Jay-Z came from nothing and now he's Jay-Z. And that's what he sells, and that's his product. And you too, who are watching the show, might have come from nothing and think you could be Jay-Z. But his story is to keep you struggling. Like there was always going to be one Jay-Z, and we needed one to keep the other 20 million of Black America like not actually asking for substantive redress. And so it's not that you could be, so Roger Goodall doesn't like Jay-Z because he wants everyone to be Jay-Z. He likes Jay-Z because he wants everyone to aspire to be Jay-Z. While
if it actually happened, he'd lose his mind.
Yeah, he'd lose his mind. America with 40 million billion Negroes, $1 billion Negroes, that would be a different country.
Yeah, he's like, you know what? This one's already accomplished it. Let's just go ahead.
This one's accomplishment, and I still have my money.
Yeah.
So why make more when I can just use this one to keep the other ones in line, right? So Roger Goodall struck a deal with Jay-Z because it turns out that in the black community, football isn't as popular. Apparently, even like little leagues are showing a decrease in black players using. In football, 20%, something like that, 15, 20%.
I would like to say that is all kind of the Kaepernick situation.
No, I think it's CTE.
We also know.
You must tell the truth. It was Will Smith saying, tell the truth about Junior Seau, like saying, I'm going to blow myself up and shoot myself in the chest so you can examine my brain because I think football did things to my brain.
And then we got to look at Aaron Hernandez's
brain, and it turns out that it made him crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like football, yeah, so I think responsible parents are thinking twice about football. I'm not saying that you have to be an irresponsible parent to send your kid in football. I'm just saying that responsible parents are thinking twice. Some of them still do it, but they're thinking twice. And they're also looking at the basketball court saying they can do that.
Yeah, they're looking at all their other options now.
I play soccer with all the other suburban white kids. So Roger Goodall and Jay-Z are now fast friends. And this is funny because this is all about how do we get the entertainers back at NFL events and kind of make the NFL look kind of Negro friendly in a way that still doesn't tick off the Dallas Cowboy fans, right? So how does that happen? Well, it happens by Jay-Z saying like, look, we all know what this is about. It's time for action. And action means putting me in charge of all the music. I'll get the artists to come in. And actually, you know what I'm going to do for the players? Put me in charge of curating social justice spaces for them to talk about their issues. That's action, man. I'm about action. And Roger Goodall is like, that sounds great. And I'm like, that sounds awful.
Why don't we just give him the title, HR Director?
You're the HR director. Your HR director is black.
Yeah. Let's be clear, as I've said plenty of times for my time in HR,
right.
Your job is not to protect the worker. Your job is to recognize the problem and get rid of it.
Right.
So when Jay-Z invites them into his office to talk about their problems, which, by the way, will be on camera in a small corner.
Was it CCTV?
Yeah, CCTV.
Go right to Goodall's office.
Mine's...
There'll be a little button microphone on the desk.
My store manager didn't see my stuff. Corporate saw my stuff. I'm like...
Well, so they would come into your office and there was a line directly to a TV in corporate.
Yes, you were literally told, come into my office, let's have this confidential conversation, confidential between me and my entire department and higher-ups right over there.
So, and the job is to figure out, all right, so this player is upset. This player is from Alabama. What does this mean? Does this mean I just got to get rid of this player? Does this mean I have to get rid of this player's whole class? Does this mean I got to put Alabama? Do I got to talk to what's the coach of Alabama? Saban? Do I need to give a call to Nick Saban to figure out what's going on in his shop? That's what Jay-Z's job is, to figure out how bad the cancer is metastasized, and then it's Negro control. There's a great article about this. Just put in Jay-Z's name. I think the woman who wrote it, her last name is Hill. But all of the articles kind of this is obviously Jay-Z anointing himself as Negro manager. You know what none of these articles will talk about, because Jay-Z never talked about, the players union. Yeah. He's buddy with Goodall. Ask him what the players union thinks. He'll be like, "Oh, I don't know. That's a good question." Because he's comfortable with Goodall, and Goodall is comfortable for him.
Yeah, they haven't gotten back to me.
Well, he got into trouble with that because he said well, I've talked to Kaepernick. I'm not going to disclose the details of our conversation, but I talked to Kaepernick. Kaepernick's girlfriend came on. That was not a good conversation. That was not a good conversation. He does not speak for me, my boyfriend, none of that. Keep Kaepernick's name out of your mouth.
Yeah, she wasn't having that.
They called it disgusting. That's not a word that means many things. She called that conversation disgusting. JC said, well, I'm not going to disclose. I did talk to Kaepernick, though. Yeah.
Now we know how it sounded.
Yeah, and it only went you talked to him once. So
it probably involved the national word several times.
He's like, I know what Jay-Z said. Jay-Z said, look, I know how to talk to these white people. They'll listen to me. And if you just trust me and throw your back behind me, I know how to talk to these white people. You just trust me and that'll work. And Kaepernick's like, no. No. And because that's Jay-Z's job. That's what he's positioning for. Now, people say he's just doing it for Clash. No, I don't think so. There are only so many ways of being meaningful if you're Jay-Z.
And since Dre beat him to being the first billionaire.
Right.
Jay-Z, Jay-Z said he wants to own a team.
He wants to own a team. He wants to be a meaningful man. He wants people looking up for him. And he doesn't want to be a 55-year-old man singing and dancing for white people. Because if you go to a Jay-Z concert, you're not going to find a ton of us. Because the concert tickets are going to be $80. I don't know. I don't need that. I got a TV at home.
There was a conversation about that among comics. Yeah. About, when you go to see Dave Chappelle and stuff now, you see white people. I think Eddie Murphy actually just said that in a set, in the 80s. It's or Richard Pryor even. It's no. The people who pay $120 for a Jay-Z ticket, they're not going to be us, man. No. It's certainly not. I looked at the cheapest Beyonce tickets and was like, she want my rent. Yeah.
You go to a Beyonce show, it'll be about It'll be, I don't know, 50 black women who still have student loans to pay and a bunch of suburban white women.
Yeah. Literally the nosebleed was more than my rent.
Yeah, so that's not us. So he's comfortable. He doesn't want to sing and dance for them anymore. So he wants to be a baller, and you're not going to be a baller actually sticking up for working people. You'll be a baller by getting good with Goodell. He wants 1% of,
anybody. He'll take anybody.
Just be promiscuous. I'll just give me 1%.
Well, I just want to
be an owner.
I'm an owner.
He wants to be relevant. He wants to be relevant. He wants to be relevant. He doesn't need the money. He needs the relevance, and you're not going to be relevant if you're Jay-Z for two.
I'm going to have to pull Jay-Z off some playlists.
Yeah, it's fine. Keep on a playlist. Don't pay for anything. Yeah. But
every time I play the song, who will run this city?
He gets 0.000 cent because you watch her commercial or whatever. It's like, I don't know.
I played a lot.
Jay-Z's not getting my 50 cent.
He ain't getting 50 cent from me.
So you have to understand that Jay-Z's job is trying to find relevance. And the way he's going to be relevant is by being an owner and having, black people across the United States look at him and say, he's an owner. I want to be like him, and I want to aspire to be like him. They're not going to be like him because there's only room for one Negro. There's only room for one Oprah, right? Like, everyone wanted to be like Oprah, but there's only room for one Oprah, and that's her job, to be the one Oprah. And when she retires, someone else takes that job. But there's only one winner of the Hunger Games. But they're to pacify everybody else. So there'll always be a Jay-Z. There will always be a Jay-Z or 3. But that's the job. There are only 3 positions available for that job. And the job is to keep you under control and aspiring to get that job. And not actually talking about the players' union. You know what Jay-Z is not going to talk about? He's supposed to curate spaces for black players to talk about social justice issues. You know what they're not going to talk about? We need a trust fund set up for all NCAA Division I players. It's pretty much the farm system for the NFL. It should be a trust fund. You go, you play Division I football for a top 30 team. You get a trust fund. If you're on the first team, if you play for a top 30 team, you get a trust fund for $200,000 that matures at different points in your life. Maybe you get $50,000 at graduation, another $100,000 when you turn 40 or 35, and then like $50,000, I don't know, when you turn 40, plus lifetime health insurance. Yeah, do the math. You can do it. And that's just, you charge, you take it out of the owner's profits or the risk, That's just what it takes. Who's not going to advocate for that? Jay-Z. That's not what he's going to advocate for. He's there to be Negro control. He's there to tell all the young players to say, like, you know what? Don't talk to the media. Don't talk to the press. Come talk to me instead. We can do it in my office where I got the camera and the CCTV that goes right to Goodall's office. You won't tell him that part, though. So Jay-Z, people think like he's just doing it for the paycheck. No, he's not doing it for the paycheck. He's doing it for the relevance. And he's doing it just because, and he might actually believe in it. He might actually be a legit black capitalist. I don't know. Who thinks that? I don't know. Let's stop pretending that Jay-Z reads books. I don't understand the illusion that Jay-Z. I don't know. So
he reads personal finance books.
I don't even know if he reads personal. No, he pays people to do that. And honestly, I think he pays white people to do that. To do that for him. No, he goes with his gut. He's a businessman. No, and in his interview with Goodall, he said, well, we all know what this is about. We don't need to talk about it anymore. And someone in the audience says, and notice he's smart enough to actually not give the content. Someone in the audience said, police brutality. And he's like, yeah. Actually, no, it's not about police brutality. Knowing your rights isn't merely about police brutality. We have rights that don't just include not getting arrested randomly, but they do include that, or shot randomly. They also include economic rights. They have rights to we have contracts and land holdings, and we have rights that have been run over, employment rights and family rights that have black men get run over on all of those spheres. The family rights section and the employment rights section and the political rights section, and we get randomly shot. So Kaepernick's Know Your Rights isn't merely about police violence. It's about what do black lives and black freedom means, right? So no, the NFL players aren't worried about themselves getting shot. They're worried about black people being free. And I talked about before how that often entails living around other black people who are who are free enough so they're in a position to honor their promises that they made to you, right? So you're not free if you're around people who are in hock to other people. In the same way, you're not free if you're around a drug addict. You're not free because the promises they made to you are always going to come secondary to their drugs. And in order for you to be free, you need to actually depend on other people to do what they say they're going to do. Jay-Z very comfortable with Roger Goodell. Goodell's free. His promises to Jay-Z might mean something until they don't, but his checks will definitely cash, and they could be in a useful business relationship. And when Jay-Z sells us out, you know what he's going to say? Well, it's a business, man, and it's just business. We know this, so just don't let Jay-Z sell us out. And what this should actually come through the players' union. Every third word from Jay-Z should be the players' union. But instead, he's going to do what some pastors do. Instead of actually having a government that secures the rights of its citizens, the pastor will be like, oh, no, we can just do it through my church. With all the dicey accountability that goes with that. All the dicey accountability that goes with that. So don't think this is about money. This is about fame. This is about relevance. This is about meaning, which isn't the easiest thing to buy. And this is about Jay-Z's brand of being a boss, because he's going to be the boss in the NFL now. And he's going to do it by selling us out. We're the products. He's trading us. We're the products. All right? So that's what that's about. And I also want to have a few minutes. I think I got a few minutes left. Yeah. Give me a few minutes on the teens.
Yeah, I'll blow it up.
All right, so there are these kids for their local high school football team. They were selling, cards or something like that. And so they were just, after football practice, they were selling, the same. Apparently this high school's done it for like many years in a row. The team sells cards door to door. So they were going out, we're raising money for our football team. I'm a member of the blank and blank football team. And so this woman brings out her gun. I think they're walking up to her door. She brings out her gun. Two of them are in jerseys, in football jerseys. She brings out her gun, says, get on the ground, blah, 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 blah. And that's what they do. They get on the ground and they're like, no, lady, we're just selling football cards. See? We're members of the football team. They're 15, 16 years old. And yeah, and then like they're just traumatized for the rest of their life now. And now I've had a gun put in my face. It's an ugly thing. It is an ugly thing. There are very few things as ugly as having a gun put in your face. Well, and they're 15 and 16. You don't get right from that. And one of the kids actually at the end of this article, I think the article's in the Washington Post, he's like, the grandma said, every time he goes to bed, or like he just keeps seeing that gun, like in your face. It's an ugly thing. Yeah, it's an ugly, ugly thing.
What's interesting is that no charges will be pressed against her. From everything I've seen so far, hostages.
That's kidnapping. Yeah,
that was
kidnapping.
A hostage situation.
That's kidnapping.
I mean, if you
because she didn't say get out of here.
Yeah,
she said get on the ground. and the article is very clear about that. She's like get on the ground, and I think she held him there.
We don't even have a Becky name for her.
No,
Shotgun Becky.
That's awful. No, that's what patriarchy looks like, because it's really about us. It's about controlling us. She is So
I saw a similar article where it had been done to a Hispanic woman. So she hired a mariachi band to come and perform on the block, and all I could think was, we couldn't pull that shit. If I hired a performer to come have a block party on a white person's block after being run off.
Okay, so what does being free look like? You can't be that vulnerable. Because here's the deal. All right, so this is how this works. They're raising money for their football team. This is how they raise money for the football team. Other communities, you get to do that. That football team actually gets the money. That money is now used to make better football players who come and beat the black team. Now, we're not just talking about football anymore. That's just black life, right? So this isn't freedom if you're not given equal opportunity to compete in the market, right? So one side has all of these advantages insofar as they're not vulnerable to being terrorized. The other side isn't going to be able to reap the the advantages.
But Army, they're just going to say they're balancing out the lack of talent.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It'll make them try harder. No. This is just like this is a microcosm of how black people are not free. Because you're not free if you're this kind of vulnerable. If you're this variety of vulnerable, you cannot make moves in the world. And these are relative moves. You cannot make moves like your white counterpart. And when that kind of inequality isn't just inequality, it turns into a predacious dynamic insofar as now they can make moves in a way that exploits you. They get trophies now by beating you.
They get scouted by colleges.
By beating you. Right? They get to be number one in their class because you were not, still have nightmares about a gun in your face. So you have to understand what all of this means in terms of what black vulnerability, and I'll generate a little bit, black male vulnerability means. And you're always being considered a threat. And I'm going to come to you in a second.
I want to expand on that.
Yeah.
Cis straight black
man.
Because like I said, I can get away with all kinds of things.
Once they find out you're gay.
Once they find out I'm gay.
And they're like, oh, come here.
I made the joke. I was going to walk into a boardroom in a yellow sundress with a baseball bat. Like, it ain't going to be like, oh, he just being Beyonce.
Yeah, he's just
until
being
I start swinging.
Yeah.
Can't do that now, and I never actually intended to do
that. I didn't.
It was a dream. It was just a concept.
Oh, yeah, right? So you cannot make moves and go out of your way, use all of that extra energy to not be coded as a threat. I've given up. People think, oh, that Negro's dangerous. I say, maybe I am.
Hold on.
Maybe I am. Just not in the way you think.
There was a point where you weren't?
Well, I tried. I was like 20. It was never a good fit. And then there's so much work involved. I'm this can't be what freedom means. I don't need this isn't a way I want to live my life. I'm just not a threat the way you think I'm a threat. I'm a threat in a different way. So if I go out of my way to say I'm not a threat, I'm lying. But I'm not going to let you define what kind of threat I am. So yeah, I'm a threat. Boo. But just not in the way that
you just scared the whole legal department at the University of Georgia. A couple of heart attacks.
I'm a threat, yeah. I'm going to go into Tuesday and teach a class full of white people, all your daughters. And you know what? I'm going to talk like this. And you know what they're going to do? Learn things. Yeah.
You are crossing lines.
I'm crossing lines. I am going to teach things. I'm going to teach all of the things. I'm teaching logic and critical thinking. So we're going to think about things, all of the things. And so that's my job, and I'm very good at it. And I do it not in a way that's not too much different than the way I talk to you. I can't code switch. It's a tax, I feel like, talking to one demographic one way and the other demographic. It's a tax. It's a tax I'm not going to pay.
I do it all the time.
I don't know where that tax money goes, but I don't think it's to my neighborhood. Yeah. So it's a tax that I'm not willing to pay because I don't get to decide the distribution of that wealth. Yeah. I'm just going to keep my energy. And same way libertarians want to keep their tax dollars. So I talk like this to them, and we talk about logic and critical thinking, and it works. Look at my reviews.
I was just saying, man, I wish we could just post your reviews. Like, we should just have an episode of, here are
comments. Not the Rate My Professor stuff. That's just curated. I'm talking about my actual.
I checked the Rate My Professor
ones.
stuff.
Oh, really? Yeah, no, my actual reviews are, I'll put them up against any person in the world.
And they'll be like, oh, they're probably all black students.
Nope. Teaching kids from Swanee and Marietta. And you know what they do? Learn. And are grateful. They like it. Because I'm very good at the job. So I hope you guys have learned something. Also, if you appreciate what I'm doing, go ahead and go to thefunkyacademic.com. Like I said, I got kids, 3 of them. I got 3 kids, and I want them to go to college. And the way I do my thing, it's possible that after this gig, I might be kind of unemployable. Depending, or very popular, one or the other, but just in case, and plus I need a legal defense fund because, at some point in time I'm going to get sued. At some point in time I'm going to get sued. That's just the truth. I'm just being responsible.
Oh, hold on.
And, I have a life insurance policy now that I like to pay out. So put my life insurance fund
I don't know if we're worried about you in court anymore after you and a group of undergrads annihilated a university.
It was all of them against me and a bunch of 6 20-year-olds. $1 billion endowment, all of them. A guy and the chief. You have to understand that the legal head, the guy makes $250,000 a year. That's more than I made in my 20s and 30s, maybe. Probably.
$250,000.
Yeah, I was about to say that's
more than I've made.
My jobs have involved paper and plastic. So I took them. I took the whole department. The staff hours that were involved in persecuting me have to equal what I made in the last 2 decades. And
they didn't get that right.
They all came against me, and I was victorious because I got the truth on my side, which is priceless.
I want to tell people, it wasn't just victorious. It was a class. Like watching him get up and just educate everybody while he's writing on the board and explaining I was like, this is what Army's class is supposed to look like.
And
there are people being schooled here.
Yeah. No, I took the whole University of Truth, and I'm still alive. The one who lived. I got a little scar on my face. Yeah, no. So that was that. So if you want the next time, just make my life easier. Go to funkyacademic.com. Sign up to be a member for $5, $15, or $50 a month. And I'll keep trying to give you the quality of black political thought that you might not get from Jay-Z or the mainstream news, because if I'm a football player, it doesn't matter how fast my 40 is. If I'm a football player and I go to Jay-Z talking like this, his job is to keep me out of the press.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
His job is to keep me out of the press. So now I'm just leapfrogging Jay-Z and going right to the press. And you guys are my distribution mechanism. So send this all the way out, and I will see you next week. Peace.